Hello and welcome to another live windsurf coaching. I'm Graham Ezzy. You guys know the drill. Our community is up there. If you're not a member, you can be a member. Did you sail this week? What do you have going on? Did you get in the water? I did. I just got to Hawaii. Well, I've been here now for a couple weeks, and there hasn't been much wind, but the wind is back. And I've been on the water the last 3 days, and it feels great. After a few months of not having much windsurfing, any windsurfing, it feels really good to be back on the water. I was doing a lot of training while I was in Europe, and that helped a lot. So I feel strong, and I'm able to just, oh, excuse me. Excuse me. I'm able to get right back into it. I feel like I'm able to step in right where I left off, and yeah, feeling good, feeling good. So, have you been sailing? I'm going to go over a few things that I don't know have been going on in my week that are maybe interesting. Hey, Matt, Luis, Dom Dom, Dennis, uh, Rob, Suna. Yeah, let me know if you've been windsurfing. If you haven't been windsurfing, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? A couple things that kind of came up. I was talking with, hey, Rasmus. I was talking with Kevin, who's a member of our group, about getting out at Hokipa. And we're talking about different strategies and challenges. And Hokipa has a channel. So it's on the other side of the rocks. So you got to get around the rocks to get there. But the channel is water that's sucking out to sea. Because when you have water that's coming in with the waves, it has to get out. And it's doing that in the channel. And I just always use the channel to get back outside because it's guaranteed to be safe. And sometimes you have a lot of wind and you think, oh, I can make it out through the middle. I don't have to go downwind all the way to the channel. I don't have to go through that whole process. But then as you're going out, you hit a lull, you hit something, and you're stuck and you're waiting as the sets are building and you're not in a good place. Whereas if you use the channel at Hokipa, you're just always going to be fine. And it's a mistake that I see a lot of intermediate windsurfers make is that they want to try and get out through the middle rather than using the channel. And this is true for beach breaks as well. It's not maybe going to be such a defined channel like we have at Hokipa, but you often have little places where there's a rip going out because, again, where there's water coming in, the water has to go out. And you want to use those places where the water is going out to help you get back out past the waves so you can catch the next waves. And it's a really important thing to be conscious of is that where is it easy to get out? And even if you feel like you have a lot of power in your sail, sometimes you don't want to risk going where there are waves because there can be current or something that a lull that you're stuck there and then the waves are breaking. Another thing about getting out is I move my feet a lot. I'm going forward, backward, because the wind is often gusty on the inside at Hokipa. And so sometimes I've got my front foot even in front of the mast to stay balanced on the board. And then there's a gust, and I kind of step back to get going, get over the waves, get some speed. And then there's a lull again, so I've got to get forward to get balanced on the board. This really active process with the feet. All right, we got a lot of people in the chat. Super cool. Hey, Hans. Who's this on Facebook that's doing ice windsurfing? That sounds cool. Luis sailed in Pals again. Nice. Hey, Christoph. Excuse me, I just gotta blow my nose. I don't know what's going on. Excuse me. Sammy. Uh, Rich, Alex in Donegal. Um, Rich has had a lot of sailing this week. Nice. Dennis had a good wave session. Sammy, you haven't windsurfed in 7 months. What's going on? Greg, hey. Yeah, it can be hard if it's cold and onshore choppy. It can be hard to practice anything. Hey, tantric surfer. You're gonna go out on a 4-4. Have fun. Uh, hey, Ragnar is doing the ice windsurfing. That's crazy. You gotta let us know how it is. I would like to try ice windsurfing. Hey, Edwin, Tomas. Um, nice, Edwin. What were you working on? I love Edwin's. When we've been working together on the water, working on wave moves, and then when Edwin does the exercise, he rewards himself with doing some freestyle, like monkey jibes, which is cool. It's a great strategy, I think, for learning, where you have your exercise, and then if you do that exercise, you can reward yourself with doing something that you find really fun, which for Edwin is like these freestyle moves, like the monkey jibes and stuff, which looks super cool. Uh, I love this kind of what would be called old school freestyle, because you don't see it very much, and so it stands out on the water. Um, yeah, cool. All right, let's a couple other things that I was thinking about. This one is a little bit off topic, but is related. I was talking with someone this week about supplements, and we're mainly talking about protein. So nothing too crazy. We're not talking about kind of crazy supplements. But if you're doing a lot of windsurfing or a lot of sports, it can be good to take a protein supplement if you're not getting enough protein in your diet, or just to be sure that you're getting enough protein. But then the question is, how do you know which to get between different brands? And this is true for any kind of supplement, whether you're taking a multivitamin or something else. And so we were talking about different heuristics to choose one brand over another. And one of the problems with supplements is that there isn't a lot of regulation in the industry in the US and in Europe. There's not a lot of regulation. And so there's a lot of trust when you're buying something. So I wonder what you guys do to sort of deal with that trust situation. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. What I came up with, and as we were talking, or what my friend and I came up with as we were talking about it, is um, time in business. So, if the company is 50 years old, they're probably doing something okay. If they're 2 years old, you want to look into it a little bit further. Third-party testing, this is a big one. So, some of these brands get their product tested by other testing companies, and I think that's really important. That's probably the biggest thing for trust for me, is the third-party testing. And then the last point that I came up with is a number of ingredients. Like if I'm getting a protein powder, I want it to be one ingredient or two ingredients, just the protein. And we were looking at different things in the store, and some of them have like 80 different ingredients in the protein powder, and some of them have one. And I'm definitely gonna have more trust in the protein powder that just has one ingredient, because that is less work for me. Because if I'm looking at these 60 ingredients and I don't know what they are, and I have to go through, even if they're things that are supposed to be beneficial, like I don't know, it was like the list was crazy. I mean, it wasn't just like additional ingredients. It was, they were supposed to be like active ingredients, like I don't know, horsetail extract. I don't even know what these things are. But then um, you have to do so much more research about what all those different things are. And there's also a lot more trust because, okay, if you have 60 ingredients instead of just one, you have to trust that they're doing a good job sourcing 60 of those things instead of just the one thing, whether it's protein or whatever it is. So anyway, those were some. I think it's an interesting issue. I don't know how many people are taking any kind of supplements. I take protein and a multivitamin. And some L-glutamine. That's kind of the main thing that I found that's helped me with recovery when I have a lot of windsurfing, a lot of time on the water. The L-glutamine, I find makes a difference. I wonder what you guys are doing. All right, I'm going to load up the Facebook group. And yeah, I'm going to load up the Facebook group. And we'll get into it. Edwin said his Vulcans are solid and he's mastering the downward 360 in the straps on both tacks. Nice. And rewarded himself with monkey jibes and one-handed 360s. Awesome. Facebook user is in Denmark. Nice. Hey, Alexis. Yeah, I can try to do this. I can do that. I can start the broadcast with like a waiting room or something. I'll do that. That's a good suggestion. Thank you. Yep, I'll do that. Thank you guys for the suggestion. If any other suggestions, just let me know. All right, I'm going to load up the Facebook group. Oh, by the way, speaking of Vulcans, I'm doing a Vulcan course. Starts on Wednesday, my Wednesday. I guess for most of you, also Wednesday. Same time as this. You can sign up. The link should be in the description for the live stream. I'm excited. We're going to crack the Vulcan. All right, time to load up the Facebook group. Let's get this thing going. All right, here we go. Facebook group is loaded up. First up, we have a post from Dennis. Hello, Dennis. He says, quick update on my Devil's Tack forward loop learning journey. I've been stuck in some kind of plateau for a few months. I do forward loops on my bad side and I sail away the way shown in the video from more or less 1 out of 2, but I'm not really happy with the result. Here are a couple of loops from my last session at the Belgian coast. He's on a 5-2. There's two main things. Apart from the rotation elegance, which is definitely something to improve, I sheeted out too early and I leaned back at the end, meaning I lose the last few degrees that would grant me a better and drier landing. All right, we're going to watch this. When I initiate the rotation, my mast already points downwind instead of pointing windward, like in Ben Prophet's loop. See the picture. I guess that's the reason I don't get a horizontal rotation. I don't throw the rig above my head properly, ending up with the half endo loop I'm doing. I know it, but somehow my muscle memory refuses to adjust. Does anybody face the same issue? How did you escape such a plateau? Cool. Great question. Let's dive into it. First up, Tantric Surfer is talking about the supplement question and saying that he looks at feedback in his body and goes from there, which I think is a great heuristic. And then also mentions that there are good independent reviews of protein on YouTube. I didn't know that. That's awesome. And then he's also saying to take amino acids in proximity of workout. Which amino acids? All right, let's get back into this with Dennis. All right. wonder if I can make this quality better. Can I make the quality better? Okay, so I mean, you're doing the loops. It's just a matter of fine-tuning them. I think your coaching, Dennis, is pretty spot on, your self-coaching. Moving the mast more to windward would help a lot. Staying sheeted in longer would help a lot. The one thing that I don't think you said, I'd have to go back, maybe you did say it as well, is looking back more would also help. You can see that you look back at the beginning and then you start looking forward. And remember, even though it's a forward loop, you're traveling back. And so you're traveling in this direction, right? I hope you guys can see my pointer here on the screen. So the direction of your rotation is this way. And so when you're looking at the nose of your board here, you're looking not in the direction that you're rotating to, which makes it hard to see the water, makes it hard to spot your landing. So you don't know when to sheet in or sheet out. Everything is blind. The world is rushing by you. Whereas if you're looking over this shoulder, you're looking to where you're going. Does that make sense? I know this is a confusing concept sometimes because it's called a forward loop, but actually by looking back, you are looking in the direction that you're rotating. You're looking downwind. Caro is joining us, and she's been watching some forwards. That's landing some forwards. That's awesome. I want to see some footage if you have some, but right on, Caro. Good job. Tantric Surfer is saying to do the branch chain amino acids, and you can get them in stores. Good tip. Thomas has a point for Dennis about going more downwind. That could help with the sail movement at takeoff. Possibly. I think, though, we'll watch the video again, but I think the angle to the wind looks fine. I think the main things are staying sheeted in longer, which the head will help with that. Because the problem is, if your head is not looking where you're rotating, everything is flying by in a blur, and you don't know where you are, you don't know where the water is. So how can you know when to sheet in or sheet out, right? You want to sheet in when you want to keep rotating, and you want to sheet out when it's time to land. And if you're not looking in the direction that you're rotating, how can you know that, right? So the head is the key to knowing when to sheet in, sheet out. And then the point about pushing the sail to leeward is also an important one. Nice, Mark, in the Vulcan Clinic. Yes, so you will be able to watch the Vulcan Clinic later. You will be able to watch it later. So the course is built around the live workshops, but if you can't make the live workshops, you can watch them later. And then there's a support group in WhatsApp for everyone to work on the exercises together. I really believe that having that peer pressure and peer support is really important for virtual learning in windsurfing. Jeff, hello to Cape Town. All right. Dennis is saying there's another loop after. Let's dive back into Dennis. We're kind of jumping all over the place. Hopefully that's not too distracting. Dennis, what do you mean there's another one after? I don't see another. Is there another loop I'm missing? Okay, so there's one, two. Oh yeah, there is another one after. Okay. Oops. Let's go back to full screen. I like the full screen view. Let's switch to the second one. So we have the same issue with the head. So with the head, Dennis, what I want you to think about is not looking over your shoulder. I want you to think about trying to spot your landing. And you can practice this by jumping around on land and just really looking over your, so spinning to the right and really looking over your right shoulder, and really practice trying to spot your landing. And so you're looking so far over this shoulder that you're trying to see where you're going to land in the water. That's the exercise for your head. That will make a huge difference. And I think that if you're going to focus on one thing, just focus on that. Just focus on the head, because it opens up so much. It's sometimes, I've talked about this concept before, with it just works like magic, because some little things, once you start doing them, have this compounding effect. And that's what we want to find. So other examples of this technique is like, or having these sort of magic techniques is like a wide grip in your bottom turn. And that has a compounding effect because it gives you more control over the sail, which then allows you to do other things better. It gives you the possibility to turn tighter. There's so many benefits. And so for the forward loop, when you're looking over that shoulder through the whole rotation, not only does it change your body position, just looking over the shoulder, which then helps the loop be more horizontal, but also because you can see through the whole rotation, it's not just the world blurring by you, it allows you to instinctually respond better. And so that means that you know when you're going to hit the water. So you start to sheet out, you start to get your legs ready. You're preparing for that landing. It means that you're not doing that preparation too early. It means that throughout the loop process, you feel in control, because you can see, which then helps stay comfortable, compact, calm, all of these good things. So it has a compounding effect. So it's one of these techniques that really works like magic, and that is having the head looking over your shoulder in the direction that you're going throughout the whole forward loop. And however you want to think about that to make it stick, that's how you have to think about it. And I know that thinking about looking back is confusing for some people, because they think, well, why am I looking back? It's a forward loop. So maybe you want to think about traveling downwind, or maybe you want to think about trying to spot the landing, or I like spotting the landing or looking downwind. Those two, I think, sit well with me, but you have to find the sort of the mental concept that works for you. And then this is a good analysis as well, Dennis, with the mast, and getting that sail pushed into leeward as you're taking off also makes a big difference. If you're going to focus on one thing, I'd focus on the head first. And then the second thing would be getting that mast, getting the sail pushed just a little bit to leeward, to windward. So you're pushing it into the wind across the board. Then you sheet in. And that helps make a really nice horizontal rotation. And a horizontal rotation is better for so many reasons. One, it's more controlled. Two, you can do it with less height, so you don't have to worry about hitting the water as soon. And three, you can come out of it more quickly, because the more vertical you're rotating, the more your momentum is just going down, whereas the more you're going horizontal, sideways, your momentum is going sideways. And so when you land, you can land with more speed. But Dennis, what I would work on first is the head. And if it's really not clicking, if you do a session where you're really trying to spot your landing and it's not working, okay, put that in the drawer, come back to it, and work on the mast. But I would work on the head first, because I think that will pay more dividends over time. But this is a great point, and this is the second thing that I would work on, which is really getting that sail pushed over to leeward as you're going up the ramp. I'm sorry, I keep saying leeward. Pushed into the windward as you're going up the ramp, and then pulling in, sheeting in, and going into the rotation exactly how you're doing it. And in order to get that sail across your body pushed into the wind like that, it helps to sheet out a little bit. So you're sheeting out a little bit, and that motion of sheeting out is also helpful because, as you can see in this picture with Ben, the sail's quite open, so he's kind of sheeted it out, and then there's a lot to pull on, so then you have more force in the sail, which helps with the whip of the forward loop rotation. All right, does that make sense? All right, Dennis, let me get back to the chat. Yeah, spotting the landing, I think, is really important. I think focusing on that one thing for now will pay the most dividends. All right, let's move on. Hopefully that's all clear. His ankle stepping off his windsurf board in December. That sounds terrible. I'm sorry to hear it. Ouch. The inside and outside are thick, and he still feels it after 6 weeks, and it feels weeks. Any tips and tricks? I think it's time to see a doctor. Jeff is a doctor, as well as an avid windsurfer and member of our community, and he says it's time to get an MRI. Steve, I don't know if Steve is also a doctor, but he says X-ray and physio. Yeah, I think it's time to see a professional, and whether it's a doctor or a really good physio or getting some scans, it's time to see a professional. If it's 6 weeks, you're still having issues. Yeah, but it can, I've had injuries. I've had kind of like rolled ankle injuries that last for more than 6 weeks, which is a I don't know how many doctors are in the chat that are going to correct me while I say this all wrong. It's from, is it rupturing the fascia? Is that right? Am I saying it right? Correct me. All the doctors need to correct me. But anyway, it's time to see a professional, whoever that professional is, I would say, and go from there. And I'm sorry to hear it. I hope everything's okay. All right, next up, we have a post from Hans about wave riding. He's been working on harnessing more of the wave's power instead of relying too much on the wind. Good goal. And aiming better at the high five section. I'm pretty happy with the progress, but looking forward to hear your feedback and remarks. All right, let's go full screen with this. I like that on Dennis's. There we go. All right. Boom. All right, nice. Active windsurfing. I like that you're looking around with the head. We can see that you're quite active with the head, which we want to see. All right, let's go back to the beginning and see what goes on here. All right, so quite active, looking at the wave, where to go. That's good. Moving the hands. So from what we can see, I don't have many comments about the bottom turn. Your hands are moving. You're actively you're sort of active with your head. Looks like you're getting a U shape, which is what you should want. What I want to see different, and this is fine. So what I'm saying is a small point, is getting your timing so that as this part of the wave is breaking forward, like right here, this is the moment that you're hitting it. So getting the timing earlier, and you can come on the upwind section here. I call these a corner pocket, where you're looking for this little corner pocket, and they're great sections of the wave to hit. So that's the main coaching here. You hit it, you get, looks like you're getting pretty vertical. You're getting power off the lip. It's like a foam climb, kind of. All right. Mark is saying, what's Mark saying? Mark is saying he's 57 and it took 10 years to land his first Vulcan. And it took a while to get the equipment right and had a few serious injuries. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. We got someone else on Facebook that had a killer 3-7 session in Miami. Awesome. I didn't know that Miami got so good. I would love to sail there. All right, let's move on to the next clip from Hans. Does that, what I just said about the timing? All right, let's look at this one. Another heuristic when it's kind of onshore is guiding with your backhand where you want to go on the wave. Here, you're getting that corner pocket hit, coming out with a lot of speed, it looks like. Looks like you're getting a lot of acceleration from the wave here. Or maybe you're just moving your head around a lot, which makes it look like that. But I think you are getting a lot of acceleration from the speed, from the wave. But then the wave dies down and it starts to form back up again. So this is a good effort trying to get to this section. Something gets a little caught up here. But it still works. All right, let's watch the next one. So Hans, it looks like you're really active. How does it feel for you? How do you feel with where your bottom turns are at and where your cut bets are at, especially compared to what we were working on in Denmark together? It looks like you're hitting a lot of the notes that we were talking about in Denmark. The one thing that's a little bit hard to see with this video is I know we were working on trying not to sheet in as much on the cutback and tried to really hang from the sail and let the board pick up the power from the wave, because when you sheet in too much on the cutback, it actually kills the connection between the board and the wave, which slows you down. It doesn't help you. So in order to accelerate, you need to be sheeting out. There's a little sheet in. It's hard, again, with this angle, it's a little bit hard to see whether you're sheeting in too much or not on these cutbacks. I think the main thing I would focus on right now, well, the two things. One is I would continue working on what we were working on in Denmark, which is also keeping that sail up and open on the cutback and really hanging from the sail and getting on your heels. And then also I'd really work on the timing. And it looks like there are moments here where you get it bang on, and sometimes where you're a little bit late. And so just really focusing on that timing. And I think that will probably, like, this is good. Hustling to get this section is good, because I think this feels on the water often, these kind of sections feel like you can't get to them, but you can. And this is a good example of that, where you just try to get to there and it works. Uh, all right, so those are my main points. Hey Bart, how's it going? Another thing, if you want to feel more like surfing, is really making sure that you're not coming too far in front of the wave, and really staying on the face of the wave. One of the exercises that I suggest is with your knees bent, the sail open, go downwind on the wave, down the line on the wave, and just feel the power and the speed that you can get from the wave and put into your board. And you can sort of stand up, crouch down, stand up, crouch down, and try and get as much speed as you can, just going down the face of the wave. And you're staying on the wave, not going in front of it at all. It's a good exercise. Matt, I would say that it looks like you're putting things into practice. I would, Hans. I would say that you want to make sure that you're not sheeting in too much on your cutbacks. You want to keep that sail open, sort of get low, hang from the boom. You don't want to be standing up. You don't want to be pushing your hips forward on the cutbacks, and really focus on that timing. Focus on the timing. It feels like a rhythm that you're looking for, and it feels great once you get it. All right. And he says that in the last online coaching, I said that I don't use the back strap much. Just a small side remark. What does this entail? When to use it and when not? So I'm mainly talking about down the line wave riding. This is true for, I guess it's not only true for down the line wave riding, it's also true anywhere that I'm focused more on wave riding than on jumping. So for example, in Pozo, which is a very jumping focus location, I will be in my back strap going out, but it's also very windy. So I can be in the back strap without worrying that I'm sinking the tail too much and slowing the board down. And but in more wave riding focused locations where getting around is more technical, maybe it's gusty, or maybe it's really important to get upwind or get in position, or it's difficult for whatever reason, I'm often out of the back strap. When I'm out of the back strap, it helps the board get planing earlier because I'm not so far back and sinking the tail. I can stand taller because my stance is not so wide. And for wave riding, you want to have a pretty wide stance, which you'll have a wider stance than free riding. And so if you are standing in front of that back foot strap, you can have more of a free ride stance. You can stand a little bit taller, help hold the sail more upright, which allows it to get wind sooner, better, get going more easily when it's marginal, plane sooner. It also makes it easier to go upwind, I find, when you're out of that strap. So there are a lot of benefits to being out of the back strap if you're on a waveboard in those conditions. If you're on a different kind of board, that's not the case. If you're trying to focus on jumping, that's not the case. But oftentimes for wave riding focused conditions, being out of that back strap is really helpful. And this is true also in places like Tenerife. And I think what's true anywhere, whether you're in posa or not, is you really want to make sure that you're up and planing before you get in the back strap. If you just stand in your back strap, you're going to be putting too much pressure on the rear of the board. The nose is going to ride up, you're pushing water, and it's going to be really hard to get going. So being comfortable getting in and out of that back strap is a good skill to have. And so like often in Hokipa, I'm fully planing on the outside out of the back strap because I can, because I can stand taller, I can go upwind more easily. It allows me just a little bit of freedom, and it's more comfortable as well because my straps are really wide, which is what I want on the wave. But on the outside, it's not really what I want. And so often when I'm pumping, this is also true. When I'm pumping to get into a wave, I'm not in the back strap. I've got my front foot in the strap and my back foot is between the straps, and I'm really actively pumping the board. And if my back foot were in the strap, it would be sinking the tail too much, and it would be counterproductive for trying to get onto the wave. So I hope that answers the question. If you have more to ask me in the chat or in the Facebook group. This is a great topic to discuss. All right, next up, Marine Hunter is going to Cape Verde from the 11th till the 3rd of March, so I guess 11th of February. Is anyone around, and do you have any tips for cheap accommodation and car rental? It's very last minute and looks for help. So you don't really need a car, as Keith says. You can just use taxis. But there are places that rent cars. If you want one, you get a pickup truck. They're not cheap, though. Car rental in Capo Verde is not cheap. And I think you have to pay with cash. It's a little bit complicated. The car rental there is a little bit complicated. You can go through one of the centers, like the Angulo Center, to help you with organizing that if you really do want a car. But otherwise, you can just take taxis, and there are pickup truck taxis that will take you to the spots. Especially if it's Ponte Preta that's working, it's not that hard with a taxi. Otherwise, you can rent a car. In terms of accommodation, again, I would reach out to the Angulo Center. They have a hotel and other resources as well to connect you with. Otherwise, you can find stuff on Airbnb as well. Accommodation is pretty affordable there. You want to stay in Santa Maria and somewhere that's central. You don't want to be too far off on the sides because then it gets dusty and whatever. But as Keith also says, Angulo Center is a great resource. Yeah, last time I went, I just called up Josh and he took care of everything for me. And if, it's probably not going to be Josh that answers if you write the Angulo Center, but they'll take care of you. Victor Fernandez is there as well. And have fun. All right, next up, we have a post from Tom who says, wave riding in onshore conditions with 30 to 40 knots is so difficult to control the power. Any tips are welcome. Yeah, it can be difficult with onshore strong winds, and it also can be about gear. You want to make sure that your board and your sail are set up to not make it harder for you. That can mean putting your mast track farther forward to keep the nose down. If you feel like your nose is going all over the place as you're flying, putting the mast track farther forward will help with that. It might mean putting the mast track farther back if you feel like you want to kind of sink the tail, and that gives you more stability. So you want to test, try different things, see what helps in those conditions, and know that moving your mast track 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters makes a huge difference. 1 centimeter makes a huge difference. And move it forward, move it back, see what feels better for you in those specific conditions. one of the big tenets of this coaching is that you have to experiment with your gear. You have to try different things. There's no one size fits all. It's really important to be comfortable testing, moving things around, seeing how it feels. And I know for myself, in those really strong wind conditions, sometimes moving the mast track farther forward helps. When I want to keep the nose down, when I feel like when I'm going out that the nose is moving all around, then I move the mast track farther forward. Sometimes I want to move it back when I feel like it kind of sinks the tail, helps me feel settled in the water. So both directions can actually help depending on what you need. And then make sure you have enough downhaul on your sail. Let's check this session. All right, let's turn off the sound. All right, so Tom, you didn't ask for wave riding feedback, but we can do a little bit since we have the footage. All right, let's watch this first, and then I will give some pointers. Actively leaning forward. All right, let's watch. Oh, some photos. Okay, so let's watch the wave riding. Okay, there are two things here you can do with your bottom turn that will help with more control, feel more in control as well, even when it's really windy, and go more vertical. The first is just having a wider grip. Having that wider grip, like I said, it compounds. When you're in these really overpowered conditions, having that wide grip gives you the control that you need on the sail, and it gives you more leverage on where the clue is. And so if you have that narrower grip and you're trying to go vertical, it's a lot easier for the wind to come on the other side of the sail and backwind you and throw you back. Whereas if you had that wide grip, you've got the control. So wide grip on the bottom turn, number one. Number two is sheeting out more on the bottom turn. So when you're sheeting in like this, you can't travel as much upwind. And so I want you to start sheeting out sooner. So here you're sheeting in, and then you start sheeting out as you're trying to come up the wave and leaning forward, which is what you want to do. But I want you to sheet out sooner, which will make that transition easier. So start sheeting out. So here you start sheeting in. I want you to do the start sheeting out. So you can see that when you sheet in like that, it squirts you down the line and you're accelerating, but you're accelerating in this direction instead of vertically up the wave. So I want you to focus on two things, Tom. Wider grip in the bottom turn. Grip so wide, grab the clips, just wide grip. And then sheet in to initiate the bottom turn, but then start sheeting out. And it's especially helpful when it's onshore and windy to make sure that you're getting vertical enough. And going vertical is important. It's not just a style thing. It also helps get that your body and sail in the right position for your cutback. Cool. I hope that is helpful. All right, next up, we have this post from Ben, who's created a free AI-powered location guide for windsurfers, kite surfers, and foilers. It can be accessed here. All right, I haven't had time to check this out. I saw this post, but I didn't check this out. So how does this work? All right, try it now. Let's choose an activity. Windsurfing. Let's choose a region. Let's choose a region that you guys know. So let's say Denmark. Does that work? Choose a month. Let's say September. Search. All right, we're waiting for this to go. I'm not sure what this is supposed to tell us. Is this a location guide? I guess it's a location guide. All right, number 1 is Klitmøller. Sounds right. It's doing good so far. Number 2 is Vejerstrand, Denmark. Fano Island and Rum. I don't know 2 or 3. You guys in the chat have to tell me if that makes sense or not. Where else can we check? Where else can we check? What other spots? I mean, let's do Maui, and let's do February. See what it says. In Maui, it's not that hard. There's just a few spots. Where else can we check? Let me know. Where do you guys want to see? Where can we test this thing out? And what is the use case for this? Is it if you're going to be working in some region for a month, then you can use this to find some spots. So Hokipa, yeah, that's good. Kanaha. For most people, Kanaha should be number 1. Ma'alaya Bay, okay. These are not places where I would windsurf. So Ma'alaya Bay, Kaului Harbor. You can go winging in Kaului Harbor. Ma'alaya Bay, I wouldn't recommend anyone go to. So they're missing a few spots because there are other windsurfing locations on Maui. Let's try somewhere else. La Rochelle. What month? What month are we trying? Let's do July. Yeah, Ma'alaya Bay is a place on Maui, but I wouldn't recommend anyone go windsurfing there. All right, so we're doing La Rochelle. All right, I did July. We'll try October next. Interesting. I'm not. Would you guys use this? Would you use this? What? If so, what would you use it for? I'm curious. Okay, so it says L'Aqueduc-sur-Mer. Oh, I can't pronounce these things. My French pronunciation is not good enough for this. So you guys just have to look at this and tell me if this is right. Châtel-Léon plage. Les Boucholeuse. Oh, I feel so embarrassed. I can't do the French. I can't do the French. Yes, I don't know. I don't know if that's right or not. It's missing the best spots. Maybe the locals got in there and deleted them. This is a pro local spot finder. The best spots don't show up. That would be funny. But seriously though, would you guys use this? Is there a use case for this? I think it's interesting, but I'm just not sure how I would use it or how anyone would use it. All right, let's go back to the group. If you guys want to do some more searches, check it out. And I also want to hear if you would use it. All right. Freestyle course, you can sign up. The link is it should be in this live stream description, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Otherwise, there's this post in the Facebook group. I'll probably do another post either later today or tomorrow with the link for people to sign up at the end, or not at the end, sort of like last minute signups. I'm really looking forward to doing the course. Every time I teach a course, I learn so much about teaching, and I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited to do this Vulcan course. I think I've broken it down in a way that is really accessible, and I'm really into it. So if you want to learn Vulcans, sign up for the course. It's a live course, 3 live workshops, and there's a lot. It's a cohort-based course. So there's a group of people going through it together, and we're all talking together on WhatsApp and in Zoom. And I think that that's also really important for the learning process. I've been planning some other courses as well that I'll do over the next few months while I'm on Maui. There's 3 that I'm sort of planning, and I'm open to suggestions. So if you guys really want to learn something that's not on the list, let me know. Shove-its, that's something that there seems to be a lot of demand for. Shove-its, wave riding without waves. So how can you practice your wave riding skills when there are no waves? Wave riding without waves. And then an introduction to wave riding. And the introduction to wave riding is a course that covers a lot of topics that are good for getting into wave riding, but also cover skills that are really helpful for being a confident, complete wave sailor that you might have skipped over. So like, for example, how to deal with your board when it's upside down, how to control your rig in shore break. So it's not just for beginners. There's skills there that are useful for a lot of people. Anyway, but those courses are still being made at the moment. We've got the Vulcan course that starts on Wednesday. And for other classes, as I talked about last week, I'm planning to do a in-person masterclass on Maui, and I'm going to do a survey about that. I'll post it in the Facebook group and as well on my YouTube channel. So there's a place on YouTube to do posts, like written posts, and I'll place the survey there in addition to in the Facebook group. So if you're not in the Facebook group, don't worry. I'll also post it on YouTube. And the survey basically will ask whether you're interested in doing the Maui course, what the dates are, just the questions that help me plan it so that I can make it happen. All right, that's it. Trees are blowing here. I'm going to get on the water, and I will see you guys in the Facebook group. Remember to post your questions, comments, concerns, anything that's on your mind in terms of windsurfing. And I will see you next week, Sunday. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good week. Bye-bye.